This video is sponsored by Squarespace. It is the perfect blend of websites, online store, marketing tools, and analytics. Everything you need to create your brand's perfect flavor and grow your business online. Now, more details on this later.
What's up guys, Salut, this is Alex. Welcome back to the third episode of this series where I'm trying to recreate the original Döner kebab. In episode number 1, I realized that here in France, we are not exactly eating the authentic Döner. That curiosity led me to Turkey, where in episode 2, in Istanbul, I had the chance to taste the real deal. Kebabs cooked over a wood fire, a beautiful stack of marinated veal and lamb, and shaved at the very end, super thin, juicy, crispy, yet pink on the other side, served on fluffy, delightful bread. Just a thing of wonder. It was extremely flavorful. This was the first time in my life that I had real Döner kebab. Okay, so now I'm back in my studio in Paris, and my mission is to try and recreate the flavor and the texture that I had in Istanbul. It's gonna be complicated. I mean, I could go crazy on this. Crazy on this. Get away from me! Well, first of all, I'm not gonna make a full, enormous rotisserie for two reasons. Number one, it would be a waste of so much food. And also, I want a method that you guys can replicate. It's less about showing off, more about sharing. So instead, I've come up with this approach. We're gonna be stacking layers of marinated veal and lamb, almost like a meat lasagna. Then we're gonna freeze the whole thing, and we'll slice it, and we'll fry it, and hopefully, everything will be beautiful in a wonderful world. Never works like this. Hopes!
Right, so I need to buy the meat and the ingredients for my marinade. Let's start by making the marinade. Now, unfortunately in the last episode at the restaurant in Istanbul, they wouldn't share all of their secret marinade recipe with me. I do know that they used yogurt, but here I'm also going to use onions because I know they act as a tenderizer and a flavor enhancer. I'm grating the onions to get a pulp rather than pieces. Then I strain the onion so the marinade doesn't get too wet. To season, salt and black pepper and yogurt. And obviously, I season to taste. For the spice mix, I don't want to overpower the taste of the meat with, for example, cumin or coriander or even chili. No, I want to complement the meat flavor with something more gentle.
So I want to use sumac and thyme inside of my marinade, but I don't have these elements independently. So I'm going to use za'atar.
Za'atar, by the way, is a Middle Eastern spice mix that contains an herb similar to thyme and also sesame seeds and sumac.
But I'm gonna strain it to remove the sesame seeds because they're definitely gonna burn if I do a kebab with the sesame seed. So let's give it a try over here first. It works absolutely perfectly. It's not often that you see a process that works flawlessly like this. I don't want to overpower the meat flavor, so I'm just gonna use a tiny amount like this. And that is the marinade done. Okay. The meat now. So I've got veal.
My job right now is to try and get super thin slices of meat that will be stacked. Now the guys in Istanbul managed to do this in big page-like slices, but that takes so much expertise and it's so difficult to do. So here I'm just gonna do my best.
Right, so I'm done with veal. Now I need to move on to lamb. The ratio is 60% veal, 40% lamb. Lamb is the traditional meat for kebab, but when you use only lamb, it makes for a very strong flavored kebab. So now I'm going to create some sort of a lasagna of lamb and veal, and in between each layer, I'm going to smear some marinade. I'm doing this in these little Tupperware because I intend to make some sort of a meatloaf, more or less. Okay, so I've got my 2 stacks of meat. Now I'm gonna close these and I'm gonna let this marinate in the fridge for at least 24 hours.
After being in the fridge, you need to put the kebab meatloaf into the freezer for at least 2 hours so that it's frozen and ready to use. Right, so since I'm following the Turkish tradition that I witnessed with my own eyes in Istanbul, I'm not gonna make any sauce to go with my Döner kebab. However, if I wanted to, because I'm a French person after all, I would make my sauce in a chef saucepan. A saucepan like this, pure beauty, made out of pure copper on the outside, but pure silver on the inside. Unparalleled performances. I made this saucepan myself with my company called Salut. We launched the first batch a year ago and it got sold out in under 6 hours. Now, luckily for you guys, we made another batch this year, a week ago, and we even added a new version of the saucepan, a bigger one. This one is 20 centimeters, so 8 inches in diameter. Both of these saucepans are available on my website, salutcompany.com. If you ask me, this is a beautiful gift for Christmas. Of course, we've got limited stocks again. I mean, this is the real world. I can't have infinite stocks. Anyways, let's go back to the meat. Now my plan here is to take this frozen meatloaf and cut some Döner style slices. I'm trying to imitate the real thing, only here I'm cutting it before I cook it.
So it's working, but right now I'm just slightly worried that my slices would be a little too thin. Okay, so the meat is ready. Now I just need to grill it. First impression, it smells exactly like in Istanbul. I can probably do a better job at flipping, but I'll get into the experience later. So my first attempt is obviously a failure because the meat is a little burnt. It's lacking salt. It's promising for sure, but there are a few things that we need to improve on. First of all, if I cut the meat too thin, it's crispy so it's pleasant, but it's a little dry. If I cut it a little thicker, then I've got some crispy bits, but I've also got some juices. That's nicer. I think it's lacking a bit of that lamb flavor. So I'm thinking right now if I were to fry this meat in lamb fat instead of just neutral oil like I did, then I would add more rustic flavor to it, more lamb flavor to it. And also it would be fattier, because I feel like it's lacking a bit of fat right now. It definitely isn't bad, it's very good. All right, let's try to fix this.
So I'm gonna use the fat that I trim off the lamb, render that down, and use it to fry the next batch.
Right, so while the pan is heating up nicely and evenly, I'm gonna slice up some onions really thin because they are an integral part of the
Döner kebab experience. Okay, everything is ready. It's time to assemble. This does look like Döner kebab. The smell is on point. Ça a marché. Tastes exactly like in Istanbul. I mean, exactly is probably a little too far, but it tastes amazing. Ah ouais, c'est hyper bon. Adding lamb fat to the pan before frying the meat changes everything. It creates more richness, more flavor, that rustic lamb flavor that you get in kebab. It's way more juicy than in my first attempt, mostly because I didn't overcook the meat this time. It's nice to think that even without going to Istanbul, you can recreate the flavors that I had during my trip. The real Döner kebab flavors at home, using nothing but a Tupperware, a knife, and a frying pan. It's amazing. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to Istanbul to experience the real deal, but I'm saying if you can't, then this is a very close reenactment of the experience I had. I mean, I like this approach. I like it so much, in fact, that I'm gonna keep at all time a piece of that meat in my freezer. When I feel like I need my kebab time, my Döner kebab time, I'll just get it out of the freezer, a few slices, put it back in the freezer because the meat doesn't even have time to thaw. And then it's a matter of seconds when you think of it. The only thing that I need is lamb fat. But I can also freeze some lamb fat. So it's funny to think that this is the most authentic Döner kebab that you can make at home easily, and it uses only frozen product. I don't know, it's funny for me. I hope you enjoy this and that you will try to make it at home. So we catch up in the next one. Bye. Salut.
Alright, let's talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Imagine having a kitchen where everything is exactly where you need to be. That is what Squarespace does for your online presence. Their design intelligence tool is like having a master pâtissier decorate your digital gâteau. It mixes AI with Squarespace design expertise to whip up a website that is as unique as your culinary style. The Squarespace payment is simpler to set up, and it lets you sell your edible masterpieces or cooking classes without any hassle. Squarespace portfolio designs are just the perfect presentation plate for your culinary creations. Whether you're showcasing your most photogenic dishes or your signature techniques, these templates will make your work look amazing. So, are you hungry to give it a try? Yes? Good. Swing by squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to serve your website to the world, visit squarespace.com/FrenchGuy for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Now, thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Bye!